Alright. My name is usually Rowe Lucian, and today I'm going to be talking about SCP-133, SCP-721, and SCP-690. Item Number: SCP-133. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. All instances of SCP-133 are stored in their original shipping crates, which are to be stored within a standard safe class storage container at Site-19. Experimentation with SCP-133 may only be performed with prior written permission from at least 2 Level 4 personnel. SCP-133 are a set of 613 black circular pieces of waxy paper-like material 5 cm in diameter. When placed against a solid surface and rubbed, SCP-133 will instantaneously transfer to the surface and create a circular hole. Testing has shown that SCP-133 is capable of penetrating up to 61 cm of structural grade steel, though the exact degree of penetration is reduced by extremely smooth or highly dense materials. Examination of holes created by SCP-133 show that they are superficially smooth, but exhibit tool marks consistent with that of extremely fine boring implements at a macroscopic level. The exact mechanism by which SCP-133 operates is still under investigation. SCP-133 came to the Foundation's attention following a string of high-profile burglaries in the city of Suppressed surveillance footage and forensic evidence were brought to the attention of embedded Foundation agents and local law enforcement agencies, and upon attempting to apprehend the culprit, subject placed an instance of SCP-133 over his chest and local law enforcement officers were administered Class A amnestics and released. The original shipping crate in which SCP-133 was found has been shown to be immune to SCP-133's effect, despite being composed of ordinary wood, and has been incorporated into the containment procedures for SCP-133. Addendum 133-01. Shipping label found with SCP-133. Instant Holes, a product of the Factory, 800 units. Item Number: SCP-721. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. Instances of SCP-721 are to be contained in one of 3 designated lockers at Site-19's low-priority item storage facility, depending on whether they are classified as SCP-721-1, -2, or -3. Each instance must be sealed in a plastic bag with a label that clearly identifies their designation. Upon recovery, all instances of SCP-721 are to be subject to testing with Class D personnel to determine whether they are instances of SCP-721-1, -2, or -3, provided this information is not available from other sources. They are then to be contained according to the procedure outlined in this document. At the time of writing, all 6 contained instances of SCP-721-1 are used to monitor and aid in the containment of sapient Keter-class SCP items. Any further instances of SCP-721-1 that are contained may be assigned to similar projects at the discretion of O58. Contact Site Director Cassidy for further information. Testing of SCP-721-2 requires permission from Dr. Bright. The use of SCP-721-3 to terminate any person requires approval from no less than 3 personnel with relevant Level 4 clearance or higher. Any subject known to have activated an instance of SCP-721-3 is to be euthanized if possible, then disposed of in the nearest suitable furnace. Description: each instance of SCP-721 is a steel cylinder painted black measuring 7 cm in diameter and 2 cm in height. One side is covered by a steel mesh and the other by a weak magnet, labeled with the Factory. Testing does not indicate that the material itself has any anomalous properties. Instances of SCP-721 can be further categorized as SCP-721-1, SCP-721-2, or SCP-721-3, depending on their effects. At the time of writing, the Foundation controls 6 instances of SCP-721-1, 8 instances of SCP-721-2, and 2 instances of SCP-721-3. There is no known means of distinguishing between instances of SCP-721 apart from activating its anomalous properties by placing at least 0.2 milliliters of blood from a sapient organism on the mesh side. Said organism is referred to as the subject. Upon activation of SCP-721-1, all conscious thoughts of the subject will become audible to those within a 60-meter radius as a whispering to the listener's ear. Additionally, the thoughts of all persons within this range will be audible to the subject in the form of whispers emanating from SCP-721-1. While the thoughts of most subjects are too disorganized and incoherent for others to interpret properly, with practice, subjects have shown the ability to use SCP-721 to transmit coherent thoughts to those within its active range. Upon activation of SCP-721-2 and the placement of the object on some form of blank medium, i.e. paper, audio tape, videotape, or computer with a blank text file open, the subject will gain complete mental control over the content of the media in question, and will be capable of transferring any data they can imagine to the media in question. Footnote 1. SCP-721-2 has been shown to function on open-ended media as well, such as radios and televisions. Excerpts from Test Log 721-2-4. Medium. Blank white paper. Summary of results. Subject was able to transfer both words and pictures onto the blank paper. The written text showed up in the subject's own handwriting, although it was proven he could change this at will, the text appearing as if it was written in pencil. The pictures were of a complexity the subject has proven incapable of duplicating without the use of SCP-721-2. This test took place over the course of 35 minutes. Medium. Blank audio tape. Summary of results. Subject was capable of transferring multiple monologues onto the tape, and what he perceived to be his own voice without speaking aloud. After being prompted to do so, subject was able to insert a dialogue he was witness to, in the voices of the researchers. After extensive practice, subject produced what amounted to his own 5-man play, with multiple voices and sound effects, all indistinguishable from their real-life counterparts. This test took place over 2 hours. Medium. Blank DVD. Summary of results. Subject was, with practice, capable of creating video files of high complexity. Beginning with a relatively simple animation, the subject was able to expand upon this until proving capable of producing a full 90-minute live-action movie with special effects included. This test took place over the course of 6 hours. Upon activation of SCP-721-3, the subject's body temperature will increase approximately 0.3 degrees Celsius per minute. The exact rate fluctuates. While this increase in body temperature would be fatal in and of itself under normal circumstances, subjects retain full mobility and consciousness during this time, and suffers no visible effects under the temperature increase. Further, they report this process is extremely painful. Once the subject's body temperature is 100 degrees Celsius, the subject will begin to emit smoke from all orifices. Analysis of the smoke indicates that it is consistent with the combustion of the organic components of the subject's blood. This coincides with the loss of the subject's voluntary motor controls, although the subject remains conscious during this time. After between 15 and 30 minutes, the subject will expire. Footnote 2. The time spent is roughly proportional to the subject's blood volume. Testing indicates that at this point, the subject's blood will be composed entirely of water that, if allowed to escape from the body, will boil away entirely. Item Number SCP-690. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-690 is to be stored in a refrigerated locked container in Sector 7 Euclid SCP containment with a temperature of no greater than 10 degrees Celsius. Access to SCP-690 is restricted to personnel with Level 2 access or higher. Experiments involving SCP-690 must be approved by an individual holding Level 4 clearance before testing commences. Personnel with any cuts, scratches, or other injuries of the skin are to be restricted from access to SCP-690. If any unauthorized personnel use a bandage from SCP-690, security personnel are to be called immediately to subdue the offending personnel and then remove and dispose of the bandage as biological waste. Description: SCP-690 appears to be a standard box of commercially available adhesive bandages, now containing 47 bandages. The logo on the box states that its contents are anti-bandages, box of 64 for the practical joker. and that they are supplied by your friends at the factory. When a bandage from SCP-690 is applied to a wound, it will prevent the wound from healing naturally, aggravating the wound and causing infection. Analysis of the bandages has revealed that this is not the result of anomalous properties. The bandages are composed of asbestos and fiberglass, and impregnated with microcapsules which dissolve upon exposure to body heat. These microcapsules contain a mixture of highly concentrated anticoagulants, heparin, hiudin, rotifacium, and particularly virulent, but not anomalous strains of Streptococcus, Yersinia, Staphylococcus, and Clostridium. The anomalous property of SCP-690 is that they impose a moderate compulsion on nearby injured humans to take a bandage and apply it to their wound regardless of the wound's severity. The compulsion is not strong enough to provoke violence. However, affected personnel have been quite persistent in their efforts to use or keep using SCP-690. See Test Log 690-A for further details. Addendum. When first discovered, SCP-690 contains 64 bandages. Following containment, 17 bandages have been removed and used for experimental purposes. Test Log 690-A. Forward. Subject D received a paper cut on his index finger while reviewing his orientation leaflet. Subject was given one strip of SCP-690 and quickly applied it to his finger. Every 5 minutes, subject was questioned about his injury and the strip temporarily removed to observe any physical changes. Time applied: 5 minutes. Notable actions. Subject was asked how his finger felt. Subject stated it felt just fine and thanked the observer. Physical examination. Subject's wound failed to close, causing an abnormal loss of blood for a wound of such nature. 10 minutes. Subject was asked if he had noticed any changes. Subject claimed to feel better. Slight redness and irritation around the area where SCP-690 was applied. 15 minutes. Subject was noted to continuously scratch the area around SCP-690. When questioned about the itching, subject responded with, "It's part of the healing process." Skin began to raise up around the wound. Subject began to show the first symptoms of a staph infection. 20 minutes. Subject was alerted that he may be suffering from a staph infection. Subject simply ignored the observers. Subject's finger continued to swell, and a small amount of pus began to leak out from the wound. Subject seemed irritated when taking off the strip. 25 minutes. Subject was offered medical attention for his wound. Subject denied and again claimed he was just fine. Subject began to secrete fluids from the wound, which leaked through the strip. Swelling noted to accelerate. 30 minutes. Subject began to become distressed due to his constant observation. Requested to be alone. Denied. Swelling and moisture on the subject's skin caused a strip of SCP-690 to fall off. The strip was reapplied and the subject's fingers wrapped with gauze. 35 minutes. Subject was asked to take the bandage off, to which he refused. Observers alerted subject that he would be terminated if he did not comply. An observer had to take the bandage off and was met with little resistance. Testing concluded. Post-experiments. Subject asked for another bandage before termination. Alright. That's all I have to say about these subjects.